The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Renegades here on SportsTownChicago.com. And we were just talking about the Blackhawks on our last segment. Now we're going to switch it over to baseball. And right now, spring training's coming up. James Shields signed with the Padres earlier in the week.
Yes, and we found out that it was down to the Cubs and Padres, and the Cubs reportedly offered him, I think it was 3 years, $60 million, and he took 4 years, $75 from the Padres.
Yeah, with a $16 million vesting option. And, I mean, the interesting thing, the Cubs offered more money per year. They offered him $20 million per year, and the Padres yearly, it's like 17 or 18.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty close, but still, yeah.
It was. I mean, obviously, you want to take the longer deal. And he had the chance to go home, which, I mean, who doesn't want to go home and play and get a
Well, when you
nice
look at
contract.
the team that the Padres have started to put together now, I mean, who wouldn't want to play there right now?
Yeah, they've got a good team going. I mean, they probably are going to be the most improved team just because of all these new faces. I mean, they signed Shields, and this is the biggest free agent signing in their team history. And did you hear who the biggest signing before the Shields contract was for, like, their biggest free agent signing ever?
It wasn't Carlos. Wasn't Carlos Quentin, was it?
No, that was just a contract. That was a contract extension, not a free agent signing.
I don't know. They haven't had very many. I know that. I'm not sure.
Joaquin Benoit, a relief pitcher at 2 years, $15 million.
I forgot they had Joaquin Benoit.
He had a good year last year. He had like a 1.43 ERA, except, I mean, the biggest free agent contract you've handed out in team history is 2 years, $15 million.
Right. Yeah.
Until now.
And, I mean, they haven't really had a good team since 2007 when they lost to the Rockies in the one-game playoff. But
right. I believe Jed Hoyer's first year as general manager for them, they won 90 games and missed the playoffs by one.
Yeah.
One game. So, obviously, I mean, this whole offseason makeover, obviously signing Shields, trading for Will Myers, Justin Upton, and Matt Kemp, trading for a catcher in Derek Norris. They got a third baseman in Will Middlebrooks.
And their staff is still a little shaky, although they improved tremendously with getting Shields, obviously. But,
right, yeah.
You sort of have to hope that Andrew Kastner has a really good year, too.
That he stays healthy. Tyson Ross had a fantastic year last year, and Ian Kennedy had a big year as well. And I know Kennedy and Justin Upton are both free agents at the end of the year, and you know if Justin Upton's power numbers decline, he probably will be looking for work elsewhere in a more hitter-friendly environment.
Maybe Chicago.
Yeah, I don't see that happening, actually. I mean,
I don't think I could see it happening either. But
great. I mean, granted, the outfield is kind of a spot that they need guys because
you could play left field.
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have, like, outfielders. Most of the guys they have projected to play the outfield are either middle infielders or catchers that they're just moving to the outfield. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're saying Bryant could move to the outfield.
Well, right now, I guess your starting left fielder's Coughlin, but there's also Chris DeNorfia and Alcantara and a whole bunch of other people that could play there, Sweeney and stuff. So.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust a lot of those guys starting.
Right.
See, I mean, with the Cubs, it's kind of like you have a lot of high hopes for this season, except that's the problem is really their outfield. I mean, Dexter Fowler will be in center field. That was an upgrade because, I mean, they needed an extra outfield, and that can push Alcantara into more of a super utility role.
Hopefully Soler can continue to do what he did once he got up here in late July.
Right, and hopefully Baez can learn how to make contact.
Yeah, well, because if Soler continues to do really well and Javier Baez can bat, you know, even something like 250, 260, I mean, you'll be in much better shape.
Right, because, I mean, he'll hit a lot of home runs. Chris Bryant will be up at some point, probably in April or May.
Addison Russell we could see next year, or depending on what happens with Baez or Castro.
He'll probably get some sort of cup of coffee at some point this season. They might call him up depending how well he does. And the thing with Russell is he's still really young. I think he's 20 or 21.
Yeah, he's around our age, which is kind of weird to think about.
Yeah, I have to say, I wish I was a super can't-miss prospect in the minor leagues.
Then we could be going on our own show as a guest.
Exactly. Or just getting your own show because of popularity.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, he'll probably get a September call-up at the least if he's performing well.
Mm-hmm. And
then first base, you got solidified with Rizzo. Catcher is good for now with Montero. The bench, though, I mean, I love the way the bench was looking before the Dexter Fowler trade when they could just shift Valbuena from third base to the bench.
Right.
I love the way that was looking when Chris Bryant gets called up and you can just move Valbuena to the bench where he can play second and third, and he's got a tremendous plate discipline and a good power coming off of that bench.
Yeah, he certainly walks a lot, which is nice.
That's the one reason I was actually super shocked that he was traded in the Fowler trade, because he still had 2 years of club control left, where Fowler has 1.
Right.
And I mean, I was actually really disappointed because I liked Valbuena. He seemed like he was always getting on base.
Yeah, he always found a way to go get a double in the gap when there was always someone on second too. It always seems like he could drive people in.
Right, and he always had like good long at bats. He wasn't like most guys where they're swinging at the first pitch and making a week out.
Right, but I mean we do have Dexter Fowler now, who is really good defensively, and he's also able to go on base really well. So I think
he does get on base. The only issue I have with him is his health.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there because he's up there in age. He's close to 30, if not, he's already
29.
30. Okay,
I mean, this is potentially like his big year to stay healthy.
This could be a breakout year for him, yeah.
Have a great season, get a nice contract in free agency. The Cubs will gladly take a first or second round pick with a qualifying offer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now the bench looks like you got Sweeney coming off the bench, and I like Sweeney. He can play all 3 outfield positions.
Yeah, I like Sweeney too, but he's got to stay healthy.
Got to stay healthy, and he has a lot of power too. So I like having him coming off the bench to hit. Now Denorfia will be kind of like the right-handed platoon part of the Chris Coughlin platoon out in left field.
Yep.
David Ross is your backup catcher, and then you'll have Alcantara as a super utility player, where he can play around the infield.
Yeah, he can play anywhere pretty much.
In the outfield, and you'd like to assume that when Chris Bryant comes up, assuming Mike Oldis, the starting third baseman, they can shift him back to the bench, or possibly if he has a good enough tryout, they could package him up in some sort of trade.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And then Junior Lake, we don't know if he's going to be up for the season,
right?
Or he'll be a call-up later.
Right,
in the year.
He might have to win a job out of spring training. And one thing I noticed, they don't have as many non-roster invitees as they usually do, where like when you go and sign a bunch of minor league or veterans to minor league contracts, they don't really I didn't really notice any notables other than like prospects in their system.
Right.
But really all I noticed, they had a couple pitchers. There was really Jonathan Herrera, who's a former Rockies veteran utility infielder, and there weren't really many outfield options, which usually they bring in a guy like Joe Mather or Brian Bogusevic, or last year it was Chris Coughlin.
I remember Brian Bogusevic. Whatever happened to him? Any idea?
They traded him to the Marlins for Justin Ruggiano, and then in May he was designated for assignment.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. He seemed okay too.
Yeah, I'd rather have Ruggiano.
Right, and of course now they're both gone. We've upgraded to Fowler and Denorfia and Coughlin out there.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Denorfia is an upgrade over Ruggiano.
Maybe not, but they're similar players.
I liked Ruggiano with the bat. I thought he could handle the bat really well. And
yeah, I thought so too.
He always did a nice job. The thing is, he kind of had trouble staying healthy because I remember there was a lot of times where he'd pinch hit, get a single, get a double, and then they'd have to pinch run for him immediately.
Right.
And did you know that Tony Campana tore his ACL for the White Sox?
I heard about that. My friend, who's a big White Sox fan, he was really excited that they got a nice speed utility guy in Campana.
My friends were excited.
Now he got hurt, and so my friend was kind of upset. For some reason, he likes him. I'm not a huge fan of Tony Campana.
Yeah, my friends liked him too because I took him to a Cub game a couple of years back when he was with the Cubs, and he hit a hard ground ball to second base, and he was playing in because Campana obviously doesn't hit the ball hard or far, and he was a half a step from beating the ball out.
Right.
So they loved his speed, and they were thrilled when they signed him. and now he's out for the season. That could
Isn't
be
that weird how we both have like diehard White Sox fans?
It's annoying.
Right.
All my friends are Sox fans.
Well, I only have the one who's a Sox fan. Most of the other ones are all Cubs fans.
Is that the one that has the season tickets for the Sox?
He doesn't have season tickets, but his uncle is the CFO for the Sox. That's him.
Wow, his uncle must make a pretty big bank being the CFO.
Yeah, my friend usually goes to opening day. I sometimes go with him. I went 2 years ago to opening day, so hopefully I'll be able to go this year again. We'll have to see.
Yeah, well, yeah, he must make big bank being a CFO of an organization. Yeah. I mean, that's probably at least a 7-figure job.
He has the same title as Kenny Williams, only it's in a different department.
It's in the business department.
Yeah, but it's...
that's at least a 7-figure job, probably.
Oh, I know that, yeah.
Wow. Hey, maybe you want to ask him to hook us up to get something behind as a booth assistant for Hawk or the radio team.
I'll take the radio team instead of Hawk. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. See if we can get something behind the scenes, or like hooking up that broadcaster, being an assistant to them.
Right.
Well, yeah. That is something. What's his name?
Tim. His first name's Tim. Last name. It's not my friend's last name. It's a different last name. Tim Buzzard, I think. Buzard.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Something like that. I'm sure you can look it up. Because, like, I've seen it, like, in Sox programs. It's like there's, like, a picture of Kenny Williams, picture of somebody else, and then a picture of my friend's uncle. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that is really cool. Or get some sort of, have him hook you up with some sort of job.
I've asked before for certain things, but nothing ever seems to come to fruition with that. But
or he just conveniently forgets to ask.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a top priority. He's got a bunch of other things he has to do.
Yeah, I mean,
like writing all the checks to the players.
Right, I'm sure that's a really hard job. Oh, yeah, too. I'm sure he works hard.
You got to be really good at math and stuff.
Yeah,
it's something I'd never be able to do. I know that.
At least, and nothing against your friend's uncle, at least the Sox are smart enough not to make him just a team president where he oversees the baseball operations, too, because it sounds like he's just more of a math guy and a business guy, where the Bears made that awful mistake with Ted Phillips.
Right, yeah. My friend always said that that his uncle just, like, his most, like, important thing, or, like, so sort of his main thing, he, like, writes the checks out to the players. Like, on the checks, like, players, like it's from his uncle sort of to the players. Is sort of what it is.
Wow. Well, I don't know. That actually sounds a little depressing when you're probably signing these checks to guys that are making maybe $1 million a week.
Yeah, exactly. Like signing a check to Paul Konerko and everything. Like, just imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that probably just kind of wish, maybe it'd be nice if they gave me half of this.
Right.
Yeah, that's an. I mean, I just don't get why Ted Phillips is overseeing the football operations department.
It's ridiculous.
Like, why is a businessman operating something that you need like a football star for? You need like a Theo Epstein of football.
I'm thinking now they're going to sort of shut him out of a lot of his roles.
Oh, I don't think so. They would have done that if they were going to. I thought.
I think so. Well, I think they're starting to turn in a different direction, and I think part of that maybe would be letting Ted Phillips actually do just the operations that don't have to do with football at all.
He's still the team president. He said that the GM Ryan.
That's true. He still has his title.
Yeah, he will. He will be reporting to him before and after every move, and a move doesn't get made unless he gives the okay.
I could see Ryan Pace and him, like, fighting, like in Hallis Hall.
Why does
Ted, like an all-out brawl?
Why does Ted Phillips need to give the okay to sign someone when he knows nothing about football?
Right, exactly. It's very disappointing.
Yeah, and going back to the White Sox, I was looking at one of the projections for them, like for their upcoming season. They're only projected to win 5 more games.
Right, I think that's a little ridiculous.
It just shocked me because they got all these new guys, and if you take Ronald Belisario off of last year's team, that's probably another 8 to 12 wins just from him not being playing in any games.
That's true.
I mean, I think he'll end up with 8 losses, except that doesn't include the other games that he blew and the team came back to win, or the games that he blew and didn't give up the go-ahead run, and they still ended up losing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just getting rid of him makes that team a lot better. anyways, we're running up against the break, so we'll be right back for more baseball talk and Bulls talk and Bears talk and whatever else we're going to talk about.
The Sports Renegades podcast on SportsTownChicago.com.